Jacob, Renown Junior.
Yep.
Mate, I knew about you before you knew about me.
Yeah.
Way before.
I know, just found that out.
Where, you know, a good mate of mine, Rashad, would come home after his son, Tarek, would be playing and go, mate, there's only one good player in the team that's probably going to go all the way.
Just
and it was
lucky.
Jacob Host.
Just got lucky.
But, mate, that must have been hard, like playing for a junior club like Renown. Your dad was the coach, obviously.
Yeah.
Rashad being the assistant, somewhat coach, water boy, coming on the field. You know, playing for a club that probably didn't have the type of rep players some of these other clubs had, to stand out as much as you did. You know, it wasn't like you were in the culture where you had all these great players coming through. I guess my first question to you is, what kind of a pivotal role did your dad play with you coming through, and who did you kind of look up to, and what kind of aspirations did you have?
Yeah, so Dad, he was massive for me. He we sort of went to Renown. That was a club that was sort of in the family already. My cousin played for him, and I was like, yeah, that looks so cool. I want to join that team. And it was just, I think the first thing my dad ever instilled in me was the loyalty. I had plenty of opportunities to maybe play for clubs with better teammates or had a bit more success, won a few more comps, but he always instilled that, like, you've made the decision to join this club, you've committed to this club, you stick with your commitment, and ended up playing my whole junior football career there before eventually getting picked up by the Dragons in their junior rep system. But yeah, he was huge. A lot of hard work. Obviously, when the team isn't as talented overall, it obviously makes it a bit harder when you're playing, but I think you sort of understand more about how you've got to be good at the little things. Maybe you haven't got the talent, but you've got to be able to work hard and work together. And then in the end, we did end up having somewhat a little bit of a cohesive season towards the end, which was good. But yeah, I think Dad was huge, and playing for a club like Renown United, massive for my development in terms of not everything is just given to you on a platter. You have to sort of earn it, and that's a big thing for me. I feel like everything's sort of earned. It's not just given to you, and that's sort of carried throughout my career, which I've been very fortunate to have that. And then when I was younger, I was massive Dragons fan. So being in the St George comp was something that I wanted to do. I actually lived out in Bankstown, so I could have joined the Bulldogs competition, but chose to drive a little bit further so that I could be playing under the St George banner. Wow. So yeah, it's pretty cool to sort of think how it all went, end up playing for the club that I loved, and yeah, it's sort of still kicking on.
The mindset there, when I hear that start of the conversation, did that instill determination also in you? Like, you're in a lesser team, you're the best player, the biggest player. That probably puts a little bit of pressure on you from such a young age. Did you feel that coming through?
Yeah, I think so. Like, obviously, I felt there was times that I was looked at to sort of get us out of this mess a little bit in terms of footy. But I think, yeah, it also sort of gave me that confidence in myself, knowing that I can handle myself when I'm called upon to be somewhat of a leader. And I think that carried through in the junior reps into, as I moved up the grades, to have that sort of self-belief. I think that's one of the main reasons why I did end up playing first grade at a younger age.
And living in Bankstown, like to travel to and play for Renown. I mean, that in itself, whose idea was that? Was that your idea? Did you push Dad?
Yeah, I think
What did he say to you at that point?
Well, he obviously liked the idea of being in the St George comp because he was a Dragons fan as well. My whole dad's side of the family, massive Saints fans, and yeah, I think once I sort of floated the idea out, Dad jumped at it, and he was like, yeah, 100%, let's go. And then my family actually became quite a big part of Renown United, whether it was being trainer for the A-grade team, which my dad did for years, and then me and my two younger brothers sort of playing there throughout the whole time. We played football, Mum working in the canteen, helping out. So it's a big family vibe, and I think that's what I got the most out of being at Renown. It's like I love the sort of community built in teams, and that's why I'm very lucky at the moment to be at South, where it's a very, very community and family-based club, and it's such a great club to be a part of.
I love those stories, when you hear people so entrenched in junior rugby league. It's something like sometimes forgotten about, but when you have these sort of people like your family and yourself sticking solid to one club and jumping in there and being a part of it, it's pretty cool.
I guess the biggest thing is you don't. I mean, you hear stories like that. I mean, you hear the Tripojeviches and their family, but they're few and far between. You don't hear it that often where it's like mum and dad. So I guess that was a huge support network for you. And what I respect a lot is, mate, I know firsthand when my mate used to come and tell me that, you know, you didn't have the pedigree of players to be able to push through, and then you would stand out. To be honest, I never came and watched out, but he would tell me about you. And I was thinking to myself, like in my head, I'm going, if this kid's that good, how's he going to be able to make it through?
Yeah.
Not that I've ever watched it, but I was thinking back then, you know.
Yeah,
I remember the conversations, because every weekend would be footy talk and it'd be about Renown. And I was like, I'd get sick of it by the end, but I'm only joking. But the transition to the Dragons, you know, it's the club that you loved, that you've always wanted to play for. What was that like, making your debut? And, you know, obviously you've moved on from South. Did you always, I guess every player, right, they think, I'm going to play with this club forever.
Yeah, well, that was back then. It's kind of weird to think of. It was such a long time ago now. But like, all I ever wanted to do growing up was play in the Red V. That was my whole, like, I'd be playing, like you said, we were talking about before, being a gamer, playing Rugby League Live and putting myself in the Dragons jerseys. And it's like, that was all I ever used to think of. And then sort of became a reality as I was coming up through the grades, playing Matt's Cup, SG Ball, 20s. And then, it was when Mary McGregor told me that I was going to be making my debut over in New Zealand, it was like, almost didn't know what to think. It was like I was having a trick played on me. Like, I didn't really know how to react. Just pure joy, like, filled my whole entire, like, soul almost. And then, there was such a crazy feeling. I had to call up Dad and let him know that got to buy some tickets to get over New Zealand. And then my mum actually couldn't see my debut live because she didn't have a passport at the time. Wow. And it was devastating. But Dad ended up having a good time. My uncle over there, they would get on the Terps, and they had a good time in New Zealand. But that's crazy to think of back then. I haven't thought about it for a long time. The debut was up against, I remember coming the last 15 minutes, Mark and Sean Johnson, thinking like, right foot step. And what an experience that was. It was felt like it went like that, honestly. And really, really, like, crazy to think of these days. Like, it was almost 10 years ago. Because you left there in 2020,
right? Like 2016 to 2020. So it has been quite some time since you were there. And obviously, I think you've stacked up more games for the Rabbits now than you did for St. George. What was the transition like between the two clubs? I mean, and more importantly, you know, what was it like leaving the Dragons?
Yeah, I remember at the time, like, it's devastating finding out that you're not going to be in the plans going forward at any club, and especially the club that you love and have played your whole junior career up until, like, playing the professionals. So it was a bit of a shock. But then obviously, you know, Jason Demetriou, he reached out about start of the 2020 year, and he was asking what I was doing going forward. And I said, well, I haven't got really anything planned. And he sort of chucked me a lifeline at South, and very, very fortunate for that. Going into such a stacked team, like superstars everywhere, one of, like, if not the most recognisable club in Australian sport. And then, went over there, and it was obviously, like, it's so hard going from a club that that's all I've known, the Dragons. I had good mates there, knew all the staff, knew all the operations, almost like in a comfort zone, to with lack of a better description. And then going to South, where it was like, I'm such a small part of that big organisation. You sort of realise how big a football operation is when you get there. It's a very famous club, lots of sponsors, a lot of people put a lot of money into that club to keep it running. And it's insane, like, the way the transition it was from the Dragons to South. And then that first year was real eye-opening. We had a very, very, very good year, went all the way to the grand final. Unfortunately lost to Penrith by 2 points, I think it was. But yeah, like I think the biggest thing was that it sort of gave me like an appreciation for like you don't know where you're going to be in a football career. It could change in an instant, and just to take any opportunity given and really just give it your best. That's all you can do. You do your best. That's all you can do in football. And yeah, very lucky to have played there for the last 5. We'll come into my 5th year at South now, and hoping for a better season than we've had the last couple.
You mentioned junior reps before. Now, you made pretty much all the rep teams growing up, didn't you? Your New South Wales, your Australian schoolboys, all that sort of stuff. How was that for you coming through, earning all those jerseys? Because, not a lot of people get to make those junior rep teams, very very select. I was never fortunate enough to make those teams. You'd see the guys already playing on TV. Those 18s games are all on TV. The Australian schoolboys do the tours. Did you go on a tour?
Yeah, I actually went on a Europe tour. Yep. So we played the England Academy and like Wigan, Leeds and those kind of teams, and then flew over to France and played the French under 20s, which was crazy experience. That was so cool, being over there for 6 weeks. But yeah, like we said, like I was lucky enough to sort of make those rep teams from when I was a young age, and you get to know players that you sort of keep trickling up the ranks, and you see them and they get success as well throughout the career. But it's like it sort of exposes you to like a more elite environment. You get better coaching staff, you get better training facility, you get better training and standards. So it's like it almost lifts your level. I'm a massive believer in you are your environment. So if you're around better people, it raises you up. And then that was pretty cool. Being able to be in those teams. We had some good teams. We had a under 18s New South Wales CCC team that won the round robin and made the Australian schoolboys team from there. Played a couple of under 16s and 18s origins, which was, there's a lot of players that have sort of gone from those teams and gone on and have very successful first grade careers.
Now I created this podcast studio because I loved creating these types of clips, videos, and helping people. But more importantly, we're in the most iconic place in the world. The beach is just down the road, 100 metres across the road. And it's over 4 levels. It has absolutely everything. From HIIT, boxing, spin, yoga, Pilates, spin, and more. Did I say spin twice? And soon to be reformer Pilates. That's how much I love this place. I repeat myself all the time. I can't wait to see you at Tighter Fitness. Get down here, over and out.
Those teams, right? So I'm just picturing you coming from a team that's not really winning, but you're a standout player. You go into these rep teams, it's almost level pegging to an extent, isn't it? What sort of confidence did you get from going from a junior team that's not doing so well to you placed into this environment, as you said, of all these great players in these rep jerseys?
I think it's sort of, you understand how much hard work you've had to put in to sort of get to those positions. So I think having to work so hard gives you that in the back of your head. You're like, I know I can do this. Like, I know if shit hits the fan and I've got to really knuckle down and get in the trenches here, like I can do this. And then, because like what you said, the talent that's on show when you get into those teams is through the roof. Like there's players that were like head and shoulders above anyone in already in junior rep teams, and then they've stepped up another level. So like I don't think my career's ever sort of been based on anything flashy or skillful. It's always just been hard work and doing the little things as best as I can, because that sort of puts you in good stead. That's a lot of fans, I think, don't appreciate that it's the tiny little things that sort of keep everything moving, and you have the superstars that'll do all the freakish stuff, and that's what ultimately gets the points on the board. But you can only get in those positions once you have the little wheels in motion sort of getting you there. So I think coming from a situation like that, sort of just how hard you've worked and that you can keep doing that.
You talk about environment. Obviously, South have built the Centre of Excellence. What's that been, 2 years now down at Pagewood?
2 years.
It's been 2 years. What's that new environment been like for the club? I mean, obviously, they didn't have the best season last year. You lose your coach, a lot of challenges right throughout the whole year. You lose a few pivotal players that have gone to your old club, St. George. Obviously, sometimes you could have the best environment, but certain things aren't clicking. Players are getting injured, and it's becoming somewhat hard. And it was a challenging year last year. What was that like, and what kind of challenges have you been through in your career where you've had injuries?
Yeah.
And how did you overcome them? How did you come back? What did you do?
Yeah, so obviously we moved to the Centre of Excellence mid-2023, which it's incredible. Like, what a great facility is. We've got pretty much anything you could possibly want to train in. And that sort of raises the standard as well. You're in a better facility. You've got more resources to use. Takes away really any excuse to not being performed. But then, like you said, last year we had an injury toll that was almost unheard of, losing so many pivotal players throughout the year and for long periods of time too. But yeah, like what I was saying earlier, I think being in that training facility sort of it allows you to do more and get more out of your sessions. I think since we've been there, there's been some of the hardest training sessions that I've ever had in my entire career, which is good for each personal development. It's just there's an element of luck as well when it comes to availability of players on the field. And then with certain challenges, like I've had 2 shoulder operations, coming back from a stress fracture in the foot at the moment. But yeah, in 2022, popped the shoulder out a couple times. Like talking to Jake before about Josh Mansour helped me put it back in.
It's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen. Not was what happened to you. You can see Mansour's face. It's like he's petrified.
Freaking out.
He's
He's in more pain than I am.
Yeah, he's
He's freaking
petrified.
Yeah. And then, so I had a pretty big shoulder operation in 2022. So I missed the most of 3/4 of the season, which was tough. Like obviously all you want to do is play footy. That's what our passion is. So not being able to do that for such a long time was very frustrating. But it sort of, it makes you appreciate what you get to do. It's a pretty cool job we have playing footy. And not many people get to be at the top. So I think being just mindful of how grateful you are for where you are. And I think, the gratitude is a big thing, I think, for me at the moment, especially because you obviously have no idea how long football's going to last. This is my final year of my contract at South, and I don't know where I will be next year.
You're turning 29, right? 29
turning 29 this year, yeah. So
you look young, but you're getting on, huh?
I feel like I've still got a few good years left of me. So, I think, I'm pretty big on gratitude at the moment in my life. It's something I sort of picked up recently, and it sort of puts you in a better mindset to generally anything in your life that's going on. You can always find a good out of anything.
Well, this year, obviously, Wayne Bennett's back. So
The big dog.
the big dog, and early in the season, 2 of your best players are out.
Yeah, straight away.
What's the feeling like there at the moment? Because everyone was talking about Wayne coming back. Everyone's presuming Souths are going to do much better because of just his record. Plus, he's going back to a club that he already knows and understands. And he's lose Latrell and Cameron Murray. What's that like for the coaching staff and the players? And how are you banding together for this first round? Like, what's the feeling like there?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said the feeling around the joint was anything but deflating when it happened. Obviously, Cam is such an inspirational person to have around the joint. He's such a special player. He's such a great leader. He one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life. Such a perfectionist, does everything he can to put himself in the best position to play every week. And then Latrell as well, another leader in our group, such a great player, such a X factor, a freak, absolute freak on the field. And to lose those guys literally within 3 minutes of each other, it was very it almost felt like you've lost someone in life. It was very, very deflating. So to have that, but then when the session finished, Wayne sort of brought everyone together and said, righto, this has happened. It is what it is. We've just got to move on, next man up. That's the mentality that we've got at the moment. So we know that the people that are going to fill in those roles are going to come and do the job and get it done. We're not in the way Wayne says, we're not in the business of trying, we're in the business of doing. We do things. So I think, it's exciting for the season to start. There's a lot of younger players now that are going to get some opportunities. And obviously it's some big shoes to fill, but I think we've got the right team, the right mentality to fill those holes and really put some doubters on notice, I think.
I think the blokes like your Whitens, Cody Walkers, Totola, he's been there for a bit now up front. I think they're the blokes now that'll take more of a
Colin
load.
Matangi.
Yourself in that picture as well,
Yeah.
being a forward with Cameron Murray out. You'll see people will write Souths off, and Wayne will be going.
I think you
"Let-
did too when we were having a conversation.
No. I said I'm waiting for Latrell to come back. This is the thing. He's simmering.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
wait
yeah.
till he comes back. My thing is with South, with your team, I got in my mind, if you win 4 or 5 out of the 8, Latrell's out and he comes back, is it easy in the mix for finals? Everyone's right saying you won't even make finals. I
Yeah.
don't believe that at all.
I thought that,
100%.
before the season started with Wayne there,
Yeah.
with the players that are there that have performed well underneath Wayne, I thought definitely top 4. You can see that it's going to be obviously challenging for South, but again, I agree with when Wayne says we've got to move on, we've got to start doing, and it's the next man up mentality, and to be honest, when you look at it, it's probably the best thing for some of the players, and like say for your career, like that
There's opportunities.
there's an opportunity because
Yeah.
it's your final year on your contract. How do you go into a season knowing that? Because obviously in the back of your head, this is a question I want to ask. In the back of your head, you've had a few injuries. You've seen players go down. What does that do to yourself? Going, geez, I need a clean year. I know I'm going to have niggles, but what kind of targets have you set for yourself this year?
Yeah, so I think obviously coming into a contract year, as they call it, it's a motivation always. You want to be able to, whether it's staying on at the team or going somewhere else, you want to just put your best self out there so that you can get picked up. And I think it's definitely a motivation to be able to play your best football, constantly putting in the 1%ers away from the game as well, so that you're ready to go each week. Because people forget how long the season really is. It's 25 rounds, a couple buys, and that's a long time playing football week in, week out. So, yeah, being able to get onto the field in the best possible condition is the goal, and then to be put in a position to play as good as you possibly can. For me, I just want to be able to crack to 17 and stay in the 17. Obviously, we want to be winning some games. As obviously everyone wants to win the comp, so that's the goal for us. It's hard to sort of accept that you've lost your captain and the X factor of your team for the early part of the season with the trail. So I think it's just a mentality of like, right, we've just got to let's just get out there and let's just do our best. We've got to go have an absolute red hot crack at this, because there's no other way. Like, backs against the wall, a lot of doubters. All right, let's just go. Everyone's in it together. So yeah, I think it's exciting. It's an exciting challenge, especially for some of the younger boys that have not experienced anything like this before. So I think 2025 is going to be a bit of a different year with certain players missing, but a very, very exciting year.
You played 20s, and Benny Hornby and Dino were your coach, right? What was that like, having those two blokes are pretty much furniture at St George Illawarra, right? Obviously, then they were assistant coaches when you come into first grade. What was that like, learning from them in 20s and then also getting that in first grade? How did that make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah, it obviously did. Benny Hornby he was also my SG ball coach. He dead set retired, and 2 months later he started coaching. Yeah. And I think it just sort of built a comfort in the fact that, like, I know I'm getting coaching from someone that's literally just been there and done that. Yeah. Done it, everything, won a comp, played for Australia, played for New South Wales, like what you said, part of the furniture at such a successful club. So learning off both him and Dino, like, you get the toughness from Dino and the skill and mindset in game planning from Benny, and it's such a valuable like knowledge base, and you sort of learn a lot about yourself and learn a lot about what it's like to take that next step to first grade, because obviously in the 20s you're not there yet, you're not in that fully professional environment, but it's a stepping stone on the way. And having those guys there pretty much from the moment they retired, they've amongst it day in, day out for years and years, and then they come and sort of guide the younger generation. I think that's why a lot of players from that 20s team sort of have moved on and played a lot of first grade. Players like Adam Fanul Blake, Matt Duffy, Luciano Leilua, myself, Hame Saleh, Drew Hutchinson, Jack Bird. The list literally does not
your
stop.
team?
We had, there's even more. There's more than I'm forgetting. Ewan Aiken.
Yeah, Yui.
Yeah, like we had a lot of players that have gone on and had very successful careers. Yeah, yeah. So it's like pretty crazy to think about. Like those guys retired and pretty much wanted to go straight into coaching, and I was fortunate enough to be sort of right place, right time, and with those guys coming in.
What was it like, your mindset coming into the first pre-season?
With grade,
First grade.
shitting myself, absolutely shitting myself. I remember that off season thinking I've got to put on as much size as I can because just a young under 20s player. Yeah, no, error, great error. We had the Mesh, the great man, running our first pre-season as our conditioner.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it was pretty crazy. Sort of rolled in first day. We had a yo-yo test off the rip. Few players at the back throwing up, and that was sort of.
Was I running like a penguin?
I think we all were, to be honest. Yeah, that was a pretty cool. Like we had such great experience there. We had Gypsy, Ginge, Benji, like Dukes, yeah,
Riz, Joel Thompson.
insane. Like to have that sort of experienced players around to sort of teach you, like sort of take you under your wing. You learn a lot about what it's like to be in that professional environment, but it's not just like football. You like, there's a lot of stuff. We did a lot of stuff off the field as well, so it sort of brought us together. And yeah, like I was 19 at the time, had like hardly knew myself at all. So being able to learn off blokes in that environment was pretty cool.
Early on, when you obviously come through and having Ben Hornby and Dean Young, you know, coach you, what were some of the tips that they gave you that you still do right today?
Yeah.
Like, and how has that helped shape you today?
Well, when I first sort of was under Benny Hornby and Dino in the 20s, I was a front rower, not really much ball playing ability or anything, and then they sort of made the transition into the back row, and I think that sort of kick-started the next progression in my career, where I was fortunate enough to make it into the first grade system. But yeah, they sort of you sort of get to understand the game a little bit better, like the players' tendencies and what to look for, and when the defense is doing this, how you can counter it, and when the attack's doing this, what to sort of look for in your defensive processes. And I think it's like massive with Dino was the fact that like mental toughness is such a big thing in the game, and he one of the toughest to ever play because of what he's done in his career and what he's overcame as well. So yeah, it's I think that it's just like little mental things that you sort of pick up as you go, and you keep it like almost in the back pocket, like a ace up your sleeve almost, which is. And you sort of look at the game in a different way when you learn off those guys. I remember going into that 20s preseason before when Benny and Dino sort of took over. I feel like I learnt that much, and it sort of progresses as you go through, and you start going against harder opponents and better teams. You come up against the Melbourne Storms and now the Penrith Panthers. You look at the game a bit differently, and what the way you can sort of dissect how they play. And you can sort of alter the way that you play to sort of try and counter it a bit better. So yeah, it's a different way of thinking of the game, that's for sure.
Is there any body shot still, or is he a bit serious at the
he's
moment?
a bit more serious at the
Is
moment.
he? Oh no.
He's good, but yeah, Benny's a man. It's he's pretty much been my whole career.
Yeah, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because but Benny's 273 first grade games at the Dragons. He's like the most capped.
Yeah.
You can't, like, when I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking about it, I'm going, that's a pretty good hole to fall into, having Dino and Benny to bring you pretty much all the way through.
100%. And I think, you know, last year he had to take the reins from Jason Demetrius, who would have got a lot of experience. What you could see in Ben Hornby towards the end of last year was you could see the pressure on his face. He wanted to perform better. He wanted the team to win more. You could see that, you know, how do you react to when you've been with a guy for so long, and you could see him in front of in the media, the anguish of the team not getting the results that he wanted. How was he with you guys through that process last year?
I think with Benny, he holds, first of all, himself to such a high standard. And
by the way, it's great seeing a coach that passionate and not just
100%.
front up to the media.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, we'll do better next week. You could see the anguish.
Yeah, I think it's sort of
and the passion.
It lights a fire in the boys' bellies. Like obviously, you want to play in an ideal world. You want to be playing for your coach. And when Benny stepped into such a difficult role, like South is a very big club, and to be that sort of interim role for the time being, he obviously didn't know what was going to happen coming into this year as well. And then signing Wayne Bennett was obviously massive, and he was obviously going to stay on as an assistant. But yeah, having him as that coach, and like what you said, seeing the passion on his face, it sort of makes you want to be better for him. Like you understand how he's got your back no matter what. As a coach, he's going to back his players. I definitely feel like he's backed me as a player under him throughout essentially my whole career. So it gives you a confidence, and it sort of, you sort of know that you're going to do everything you can to show up for him, because he's going to do everything he can to show up for you throughout the week to make sure that you're prepared as best as possible, so that you go in and have full confidence in the game plan, your preparation, and where the team's at as a whole. So yeah, it's like you obviously played with Ben back in the day. Like I'm sure he would have been the same in the field, if not more. He still jumps into conditioning games and he's spraying players and still throwing mad cutout passes or just short ball at the right time. He's such a smart man when it comes to football that, yeah, you'd be stupid not to listen to what he's got to say and to react to what he's got to say.
One thing Benny Hornby has is time.
Yeah.
You watch him play, mate. You see the good players that you hear him say, oh, they've always got time. Benny Hornby was in that calibre. He always had time. He was always looking and searching and trying to find a weakness. It
wasn't like he was the biggest player.
No.
He wasn't the fastest player.
No.
But he
could just read the game really well.
100%. I agree. 100%. The thing I wanted to ask you, because it tends to happen once a year. We were talking about this the other day. Coaches getting moved on. Sometimes it happens at the end of the year. Sometimes it happens directly in the middle of the season due to, not winning as many games as they should be. So they try to do a clean slate. What effect does that have? As you were saying before, South is such a big organisation. What effect does that have? Because one day the coach, the player, whatever it is in the situation, then all of a sudden they're not. What does that do? That
was so last year was real weird. We sort of we played down in Melbourne on Anzac Day. I think it was Anzac Day, and we've come back and we started our prep for Penrith the next week. We had a Monday session that was like normal.
Yep.
Obviously, there was a bit of chatter around what was going on, and then the Wednesday session we've rocked up, done a full day of training, and media everywhere, all over the facility, waiting for players to come out, asking questions, and then we were sort of. Everyone was just at home when the message came through from JD saying obviously he'd been moved on, and it was like a massive shock. Like obviously you hear all the talk and everything, but you think, oh, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But yeah, I think it's a massive shock at first, and then all the players, I think it just rallied us together. Yep. We understand that like at the end of the day, it's us out there playing football, and our performances weren't up to scratch, and that's caused the situation that did occur. Yep. It's a kick up the arse, and you do understand you've got to be better. And I think it did bring the players playing groups together. Yep. You obviously would have seen an instant response. The performances were a bit better, but I think it should never get to that situation. And I think there's a lot of regret in terms of how that sort of went down. I've got a great relationship with JD, and very unfortunate the way that it sort of all played out in the end. But I think at the end of the day, it is a business, and I think decisions are almost forced on clubs sometimes. Yep. But yeah, it was definitely a big shock. It was really like this first sort of time that situation's happened in my career. It was, I remember in 2020 when Mary got moved on. It was different because I understood I wasn't going to be at the club the next year. Yeah. So I think like there was less curiosity about what coach was coming in and everything, because there was only a handful of games left in the year. Mary stood down himself, but having JD get moved on, and then there was a whole bunch of season left and speculation about what was happening in the next few years. it was obviously very, very different. And I think a lot of players sort of dealt with it in their own sort of ways. There was players off contract that didn't know if they were going to get extended because obviously new coach, they got preferences, and it affects so much. Yeah, you don't realise how much it actually does affect. And then again, like what I was going back to, it's you got to be grateful to be in these situations. It's kind of cool to have that sort of opportunity to be where you are. You can't take it for granted. You got to sort of take the good with the bad. And I think in 20, 30 years time, I'll be sitting around talking to mates or even the kids and grandkids and saying like, I got to be part of those kind of things. It's kind of pretty cool.
Now, this podcast, Shootout Titan Fitness, I created this to make my life so easy. But what I done, I said, you know what, let's help other people. Let's get other people on this journey where the lights just come on, the camera crew are here, the producers are here. You don't have to do nothing. I wanted to create this for myself. But you know what we've done? We created this studio for others. Why don't you hear exactly what the others have to say about this studio by coming and getting a free trial? Hit the link in the bio. Come and see these guys. They're absolutely amazing. You have to absolutely do nothing and you get the best podcast in the world. Hit the link in the bio and let's go. When obviously the interim coach being Ben Hornby, what was the conversation going into training the next day?
Yeah, I think he sort of just came in and addressed the team about like,
how uncomfortable is that?
It obviously is uncomfortable. Yeah, he's obviously was a good relationship with JD as well. You don't want to see your mate get the flick or anything like that. So he just sort of said, righto, it is what it is. Obviously, it's not what we wanted to happen. It's not ideal, but we've just got to like get on with it. We've got a game against Penrith this week. We've got to get ready for that. We can't sort of linger on what's happened. And I think that's what was so good with Benny. He's a pretty straight shooter. There's no point sort of worrying about what's happened. You can't change it now. So it was like, all right, on to Penrith pretty much. Yeah, it was. But I think he did such a great job last year in terms of being chucked in the deep end, and I think he sort of has set himself up for the future when it does come time for him to be a full-time first grade coach. I think he's going to be such a wonderful head coach.
Let's change transition. What does a day look like for you? Like you wake up in the morning, do you have a set routine? And have you changed your routine to accommodate for what this season looks like? Obviously, it's a big season ahead. Wayne Bennett's back. Have you gone, you know what, there's a few more 1%ers that I'm going to really take to the next level this year?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. It's like almost a make or break mentality. There's a few little things that I'm trying to do off the field where it's a bit more mindful. As of late, I've been trying to get up in the morning a bit earlier, have a coffee with my fiance, and make sure that I'm starting the day off on a happy and good mentality kind of note. And then it's just little things as well. As like I've got my gut health checked this year. That's something I would never have thought of doing. Like little things that can sort of change the way that you're able to perform, the way that my body reacts to certain foods. Maybe I shouldn't be putting those foods in my body.
Which foods?
Well, I'm actually not. I don't have the right. What do you call it? Good bacteria in my stomach, so I'm taking more probiotics. I'm taking more fermented foods like kimchis and sauerkraut. So it's little things. Yeah, I got recommended a naturopath and sort of went down that direction, which is something different. I would never ever think of doing something like that throughout my whole life. So something like that, something as simple as the shoes that I wear when I'm doing lower body weights, or the way the certain angles that I attack sprints and all those kind of things. It's sort of just like there's a whole heap of knowledge out there now that you'd sort of be kicking yourself in 10 years if you didn't try and implement any of that into your professional career. So yeah, it's just little things like that I'm sort of trying to pick up now. And like, for example, we've got this bloody Whoop band on that sort of tracks. They're unreal. Yeah. So good. I'd love to get a sponsorship for them if these kids out there.
I'm with Hosty, everyone.
Yeah, so yeah, they're unreal. Tracks everything.
Well, if he's win the grand final, you have a big season.
Sure,
I think you're going to get one.
That'd be good. Good trade.
I'm just looked here. You're a 100 gamer, 111.
Yeah.
Now, you play first grade, so you get your debut. This is for everyone, right?
Mm.
When did you individually feel like, hey, I'm a first grader? Was it like 10, 20, 30 games? Like, you know that feeling where you feel that comfortable running out the tunnel, you know exactly what needs to be done for the team on that night?
Yeah, I don't think I felt comfortable in first grade until really I probably hit that 70 game mark, honestly. Because when I was at the Dragons, I'd played 51 games, I think.
That's correct. Well done. I've seen that.
But like that was over 5 years, so I'm playing 10-ish games a year. Yep. So I'm in and out.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
it wasn't until I did come to South that I sort of was a bit more regular in first grade. That first season, I think I played 19 games, played in the grand final. So I think it wasn't really up until that grand final that I was like, okay, well, this is it. I'm a first grader now. But I think it's like you never want to be comfortable having that mentality of, right, I should be in the team every single week. It's not going to help you. Yeah. As soon as you sort of get comfortable in anything in life, you're going to take the foot off the gas a little bit. So I think it's healthy to sort of have that competition, have that, like I've always got to be better. I've got to do something to improve. Otherwise, you're only just going to be getting worse. But yeah, I think it wasn't really until the grand final that I was like, yeah.
How do you get yourself motivated then with that stuff? Like they talk about the Michael Jordan's mindset was he'd make things up and take them personally.
Yeah.
Like, and as you just said, then the stepping stone to continue to get yourself up each week. What do you do?
I think it's just the challenge of like no game's ever easy, and you understand who the NRL is pretty stacked with talent in every single team. So I think just knowing that, right, it's an uphill battle every single week. Like nothing's given. It's always right. I've got to have that mentality of I'm going to just put my head in places maybe people don't want to put their head. I'm going to go as hard as I can for as long as I can. And if we come out on top, I know that feeling after the game is going to be one of the best feelings you could ever experience as an athlete. And I think it's just understanding it's like this like it's either going to be the best or it could be the worst. So like knowing, like going into that blind, it's kind of exciting. And that's sort of what gets you up each week. It's a challenge and understanding you're going out there and you're not only representing yourself, but your family, your teammates, the club as a whole. So, I think that's sort of the mentality for me when I go out and play.
You get to see like a lot of players, when you're turning 29 this year, where they've played a fair few years and they're reaching towards the end of their career, start taking care more of their body, their nutrition. You don't see many players doing it from a young age. Do you think in rugby league, and I don't know if they're a bit behind the eight ball when it comes to the American sports, and sometimes it does take going to a naturopath or someone outside of the system because you don't see that when you first come to the NRL. Hey guys, these are the things that we're implementing now. This is the new science. Yeah. We're going to start working on these 1%ers that we've never worked on in the game. You don't see it often, and a lot of the times players have to go out and do their own research or find out from other teammates and what they've done. Where did you have leaned towards, and who did you talk to go, hey, I've got to do a couple of different things. I've got to change a couple of different things on my diet, my training, my recovery. You've seen Anthony Minicello do it. Yeah. I know back in the day, Josh Mansell was, big on his health.
Massive, yeah.
And a lot of the times you see these players, it's not like they do it at the beginning of their career. They do it at the latter part, so they've got more of a longer career in the game.
I think it's almost like a stubbornness when you're younger. You sort of get to, like, you sort of start achieving your goals and you get to where you've wanted to be for so long. You're almost scared to change anything. You don't want to, like, whatever's worked is going to keep working, which is, I don't think is a reality. I think you should be able to adjust and implement new things into your life and into your career. So it's sort of, like what you said, give you that bit more longevity. But I don't think a lot of people realize that until it's like, wow, I am starting to get a little bit older. I would like to play a little bit longer. I was pretty fortunate. I got some good advice from my missus and people that she knows in her circle. She was a manager of a gym for a long time, so she knew a lot of people that sort of are in that performance based sort of know-how, and they have some very smart people that sort of recommended the going down the path of a naturopath and different methods of training. So yeah, I think that's where I sort of got lucky in that element of knowing the right people. But yeah, like what you said, I think it should be definitely a mentality for a lot of younger players to put things in place and try, not maybe search for that knowledge when they're younger. So then when they do obviously get a bit older, they already have got certain things put in place that are going to maybe bulletproof certain parts of their body that are going to make them play a little bit longer. Maybe they won't get that injury that's going to put them out for a prolonged period of time.
I think the hardest thing sometimes is because, there was a club I heard of a while back, I won't mention names, but sometimes I think what the naturopaths do, they'll find more problems.
Yes.
And so if you're playing rugby league,
Yes.
they don't want too many problems. They want, hey, we've got to train, we've got to get on the field, we've got to play. There's that mentality. So, sometimes when you go to the naturopaths or you go to individuals that help with the recovery side, whether it be red light and all these different modalities that are out there, which do aid and help recovery, but it also takes the player away a little bit, and they just want them to focus on, hey, this is what you got to do. And it's almost the coach. It's sometimes the trainers, the physios and the coaches have to see eye to eye. They have to come together to be able to make that decision happen.
There's a synergy that sort of needs to be happening.
Yeah, and it's not quite that simple for it to happen, because there could be one guy, and I know this one guy, he could go put forward his case, but then the trainer will go, mate, we're not going down there because I don't believe in that shit.
And obviously there's like an element of, you can't be going to certain doctors and be like, oh, take this, have this. No, absolutely not.
I've seen that wrong.
Can't. So many times you've seen stories of that going wrong. But I think finding out about your body, like whether that's,
and we're all individuals, so we are going to be different.
Yeah, and exactly, everyone's body reacts differently to certain foods and like even just to. Like, obviously, there's a lot of processed foods out there, a lot of processed drinks. No, not at all. But even just like putting like hydrolyte mixed with certain stuff, it's all like there's so many preservatives and stuff in it that can sort of affect your gut health. Yeah. And then that's where it all sort of starts. You get your energy from there. Maybe you're not absorbing your proteins as much as what you could be, and maybe you're not you're going to the toilet too frequently, which means you lose a lot of nutrients, so you're not getting that energy to train. It's just such like, I think it's a mentality that I think a lot of people need to in the professional environment need to sort of adopt, because it's so much about the little things.
What's in hydrolyte that's the problem?
It's just too many preservatives,
that's
mate.
right.
It's too many preservatives.
Good question. He's got on your toes there. See what he does? He keeps you honest.
Good. I like it.
What have you noticed? So how long have you been doing this for?
It's been about 2 months now.
Right,
so
have you noticed anything?
Like I feel a bit more energy, less wanting to snack in the afternoons.
Yes,
so
okay.
I think the problem for me was that I wasn't actually absorbing as many nutrients from my foods as I could.
Because of the blockage.
And because of the healthy bacteria not being there to break it down and obviously pass through the intestine. So I've definitely felt more energy prolonged throughout the day, and not having an afternoon crash or trying to snack, over snack or anything like that. So it's been pretty interesting. Had a really good conversation with the naturopath when we did it. Probably sounds boring to the listeners.
It's a lot of work though, but it is a lot of work. I mean,
Yeah.
They throw a whole heap of stuff at you, and you go, "Fuck, is that what's wrong with me?"
And the graphs and everything, and you're like, "Wow, I don't know what some of these letters mean."
And you got to be consistent in the approach, because it's not like you're going to get better in one day.
Nah, there's not a special pill you can take, and it's like everything's fixed.
Usually, it's a minimum of 12 weeks
at least.
For you to see that result, you got to be consistent.
Yeah, and even now,
it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy.
It's not easy. In 2 months, I'm only really starting to see some results and changes.
Be honest too. What are you eating after games?
After games, nothing good.
Yeah,
mate, I've seen what they give them. Bed rolls and cheeseburgers
and a stop off at KFC on the way home. Yeah,
I've never been able to understand. I've been in the sheds and I've seen the dietitians in there.
They almost have to close their eyes and block their ears.
But mate, the thing is too, right? You
do get hungry. Like after a game, you've burnt that many calories. You're knocked out. You're smashed.
Yeah.
and your body's just craving.
Yeah.
I could never eat in the sheds, man, because I just didn't like it.
yeah.
I didn't feel comfortable. I'd just have me shower and then I'd get out of there. But then you'd stop at the Golden Arches.
Always,
half the
yeah.
team would be there too.
Yeah.
They'd be sitting there having a feed.
It's
feed
weird,
the car
eh?
park.
Like after, like you're so high on adrenaline, and like
you're not sleeping.
the thrill of the win or that like shit feeling of a loss. It's like I don't want to eat, don't want to sleep, and then like straight back into review. How good's this? Yes. I think as well as like post game, I think you want to celebrate in some way. Yeah, you've earned the right, you've earned it. So I hope the naturopath's not listening to that.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, mate. Like different environments.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that. It's not. It's.
But then, like what you said, it goes back to consistency. Like one meal's not going to absolutely destroy everything. Just like one meal's not going to fix everything.
Yeah.
So it's like having that healthy balance but then also like just roll straight back into what works.
And those naturopaths get really angry.
Do they?
Oh, mate,
they're passionate.
They're like,
hey, if you are, you are. I suppose I didn't think they'd get angry.
Mate,
though.
I think they're always
Nazis.
they're always pushing it up the hill.
Really?
They're like Mr. Bookman from Seinfeld.
Oh, that guy is classic. Good episode.
You do wrong thing, you're gone.
Yeah, cool.
You know what I mean? But you know, that goes really deep in the rabbit hole, and there is a lot of things to look at. When it comes to your health, and to be honest, it does have a direct correlation with your mental well-being as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Because when everything's working on the inside, your mental well-being is so much better. Your happiness is better.
Yeah.
Like all the little things that you thought, what's wrong with me here? What's wrong with me with there? It regulates your hormones, and when your hormones are regulated, your mental well-being is much better. And
your outlook on life is better.
It changes everything.
The sun's a little bit brighter. The water's a little bit bluer. Like everything's better.
Everything's better. You know, we talked earlier about your dad being a coach in the junior, in your junior time at Renown. What's the family support like now? Is your dad still around? Is your mum still around? Still watching you, supporting you?
It's actually Mum's birthday today, so happy birthday, Mum.
Happy birthday, Mum.
Yeah, so massive still. Dad still calls me after every game, checks in on me throughout the week to see how I'm going. They're always in my corner, and I think that's the best thing for any young person out there to know that their family's got their back. We're a very, very tight family. Even all my uncles and aunties, they're always checking in, which is a cool feeling because I'm very, very lucky to have that sort of family aspect of my life. It's a big thing. I love my family and always will. So yeah, it's I can lean on them when I need to. There's obviously everyone has tough times in their life, go through some stuff, but I just know that I can always, they're a phone call away or a 20-minute drive away, and I can rock up at any time, come in, sit down, have a feed, have a chat, watch a TV show, or just talk, and it's the best ever. Like, I love my family so much.
They're still in Bankstown?
Yeah, they're out in Padstow, so still the same house I grew up in.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned before fiance. Now,
yes.
What you can answer about this, how did that go about, and how long were you with or together before you popped the question?
Yeah, so we're coming up to 2 years being together.
Yeah.
But I pretty much knew from pretty early days. That she's a really cool chick.
Excellent.
She's a great woman and does a lot for me. So I'd sort of been planning it for 3-ish months that I was going to pop the question, and sort of was, well, I had a trip to Europe booked in the off season last year that I was hoping to do it over there in, but the ring wasn't made in time, and it came only a couple of days before we left, so I didn't have the opportunity to ask her dad in person for his permission, for his blessing. So ended up coming back from Europe and catching up with her parents and asking the old man, and that was a pretty cool feeling, like knowing that he was approved and more than happy, and but hard to obviously go from that conversation to then being with her and it's like, well, I can't tell her something cool has just happened. So ended up asking her, and she stupidly said yes, and we'll be getting married next October.
Good on you, man.
Yeah.
Mate, and that's old school. That to go ask the dad. That's not a lot of people.
Yeah,
do
I
that
think that's
these
just
days,
come
I think.
from my old man too.
Good on you, mate. That's really cool. I like
that.
that. Good on you.
Yeah, do it the right way if you're going to do something.
Yeah.
So.
The NRL season just started last week. South were there last year. Were you there last year? With
Yeah,
the
that
Roberts?
was insane. Vegas.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, worst trip ever. So we all the memories were coming up on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, which that was such a crazy whirlwind sort of period. We played the Charity Shield at Cogra against the Dragons, and 2 days later they'd split the team in two, and half the team's gone on one day and half the team goes the next day, and landed into San Diego, and we were there for a week and a half, and then the rest of the time in Vegas. America is crazy. You feel like such a little fish when you get over there. Like no one knows who you are, where you're from. They think you're bloody either from England or New Zealand because they can't distinguish accents. And yeah, Vegas is a lot. Yeah. But yeah, crazy. Like what an experience to play a game over there. I think it's the games that just happened over the weekend. I think they were fantastic again. I think it's a big showcase over there, and it's only going to keep getting bigger. But yeah, that was, can't believe that's 12 months ago now. Yeah,
I was watching the Warrington Wigan game, and I was watching NRL 360 last night, and they were just saying how much louder the English fans are compared to the Aussie fans.
Psychos, absolute
So what
psychos.
happened, if you left the stadium, you weren't allowed back in.
Okay.
And I think that, I mean, obviously because it was way too long, I think they're going to go back to 3 games next year.
Yeah.
Well, the Warrington Wigan
that
game
was crazy, man.
kicked off at like 7:30 in the morning or 7:45, and then
Over there?
here.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
The
That's
Penrith Sharks game was like what, 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
Yeah, man. It was way too
late
long.
after.
Yeah, long day.
It was way too long.
day.
Like, you know what? To be honest, like watching it, you've almost got to have an English team there just because of the top of supporters that they've got.
Yeah.
It was good.
Their supporters are like just made in that arena. They were like,
It's even like when we played the Aussie schoolboys over there, we played against a Wigan Academy, not even their first team, not even their reserve grade team. I think it was their under 21s or whatever, and we had 5,000 or 6,000 diehard Wigan fans there, absolutely spraying us, calling us every name under the sun, and we're 18-year-old, some of us 17 Australian kids that have never been out of the country before, and these full-grown English men just absolutely giving it to us, and I was like, how good's this? And like, it's the same thing, like only gets more passionate that as you get up to the top, and obviously, again, probably had a few too many sherbets in the crowd and get a bit rowdy.
If you love these conversations we're having on this podcast, because we're getting heaps of comments, and I want to thank every subscriber out there that's hitting the comments, hitting the like button, hitting the share button. But more importantly, we're going to take this to Thailand. The exact same thing we're doing with the people that we bring on, changing the world, changing the mindset, and making people become better. That's exactly what we're going to do. March 16 in Thailand. Hit the link in the bio. I want to see you there. That game, like I was just watching a lot of the clubs. I've seen Ricky Stewart in the sheds say, I've got to bring the players down now. I've got to bring them down. I've got to bring them down, and we've got to start again.
Yeah.
How hard, obviously, South, Manly, and the other clubs that were there, it was their first time. It seems like the clubs kind of understand what the prep's got to be and how they've got to bring them down.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like, obviously you lost the game, was that much harder? And it was a pretty tough game.
It was a tough game.
The game was in the balance for a while. It just got
for
away.
a long time. Yeah.
In the end.
It was weird because it was almost like a grand final build up. Like we were doing parades in the street. We went to old Las Vegas and they announced the teams up on stage. There was a couple, I think it was like 15,000 people there in the street cheering us as we walked up through everyone. So it was almost like a grand final week build up. And I think as well, just running out on Allegiant Stadium, like it's completely covered. You've got like the Super Bowl seating. It's got booths down on the side of the field. It's so surreal, and the crowd was incredible. Like so loud, and I think the Americans sort of rode the wave of every single play. Like in the NFL, they sort of do every play is a big play. They sort of had that mentality. It was kind of crazy, like things that we wouldn't really react to back here. They were just going off their head for it. And then as well, like after the game, I remember going to the shops and walking around, people stopping us and talking to us and saying how great that the sort of spectacle was. And it sort of you sort of walk with your chest out a bit more, and it's kind of cool to sort of be recognised like that. But you're right, it's even though we did lose the game, it's such a high, and then you got to come back down. It's like, right, now we've got 24 more rounds of the year to go. gear up for that. Like we've sort of had this big thing, and it's like, all right, well, we've still got a long way to go. And yeah, it would have been challenging for the coaches for sure.
And you played Magic Round as well. Like what? Tell me what the comparison is. I mean, obviously Vegas is much bigger.
Yeah.
But now we've got two big spectacles in rugby league.
Yeah.
You know, one being mid-year, and one being at the
Magic
start
Round,
of the
yeah.
season. Like, what's the Magic Round like compared to that? Is it when you first had your first Magic Round? What was that? What did that feel like? That?
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, you have 3 or 4 different hotels where all the teams are staying, so you cross paths with players you don't know and players you do know from other teams, which is it's a different vibe. Like I'm not entirely sure if I like it or not, but it is what it is. That's good for the game, having that sort of thing going on. Magic Round's cool. It's almost like a big party up there in the stands. The fans get around it, and it's definitely not a bad thing for the game. I think it's been sort of utilised well. That first sort of Magic Round was so weird because your prep's different before game. You're not just in the sheds by yourself the whole time. You sort of got to adjust around the team before you. You sort of come in when they're coming in for half time, and you've got to sort of be out in a certain area, and then you got to come in and you do your prep, and then they come back in after the game, and you're like, fuck, it's
so much happening.
There's so many logistical things that you don't really realize until you're there, and you like maybe it messes up with your prep a little bit, but you sort of just got to like deal with it. Like it is what it is. But yeah, it's cool. It's pretty cool. Like it's wild to think like they can get the whole comp up to one stadium if you don't want to be playing Sunday afternoon, but because the ground is absolutely rattled. So you'd rather be the Friday, Thursday game for sure. But yeah, it's cool.
Brisbane's the only place you can do the Magic Round. You can't do it in Sydney. It's got to be in Brisbane.
You can't do it in Auckland?
Do you know what? I don't know because I haven't spent enough time over there. Knowing Brisbane, the hotels,
everything's
so
in Queensland
easy
too.
access.
Rugby league's different in Queensland, mate. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It's like the Italians with soccer. It's like it's a religion up there. You can't compare it.
I guess it's like the AFL in Melbourne.
Yeah, 100% it is. It's just the way it is. You know?
It's almost like Brisbane was designed to have that sort of.
They love it there. And the fans are different. The people are different. Like they're your mates, but not your mates, but like they interact. But then, like, as you're walking away, they'll give you a stick. They'll be sweet there. Then it's like, they remember who they go for. Everyone goes for Brisbane and Brisbane. That's just what it is. You're going into the Lions Den up there. It's a cool vibe. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I can only imagine what it'd be like with the Origin up there.
And life outside footy.
Yes.
Obviously, I was reading you're a massive gamer. Apparently, you're a solid gamer, huh?
Yeah,
you're underplaying it upstairs. I think you're a very good gamer on Twitch. What would you give yourself out of 10?
Nah, I reckon I'm probably like a 8.
That's still good.
That's
That's
serious.
neutral. I like
that's like playing off 1.
Yeah. I've got to get back into it. I haven't done it in like any Twitch streams in such a long time. It's maybe I'm growing up. I don't know, but
what'd your naturopath say about that?
Yeah, no,
mate, you gotta watch out for the blue screen.
Yeah,
exactly. That's all I need.
My eyes are going square, honestly. Like that's cool. It sort of started around COVID. It was just something to kill the time. I was like, why not? I play enough video games. Why not chuck a bloody camera up and talk rubbish with anyone that wants to watch it? And sort of grew from there. And I think the timing was right. Through COVID, people weren't really doing too much. They were just having to sit inside, and so they decided to watch my ugly head on a computer screen or a phone screen and just talk rubbish with me for a couple of hours of an afternoon, which was I really enjoyed it. It sort of built a bit of a following that I sort of get asked every couple of weeks from people that come to training or to games whether I'm going to be starting to back up again. So maybe I should. Maybe I should start to back up.
I wasn't even aware of it. That gaming community. No, not
huge. Absolutely huge.
There's a whole lot of nutcases out there.
Yeah, there is.
I'm only joking. Man, I was watching. I was watching Tarek. Man, I was going. I said to Rashad, man, what's going on here? I go, how many screens has he got in there? He's shaking his head, but we're a bit more kind of old school in terms of that. But I understand. And I think it was during COVID that I learnt more about gaming. Yeah. Because, you got all this time and then you're just looking at all these Twitches and you're going, what the hell is this Twitch thing? Yeah. And it was such a huge, new world, man.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different.
Well,
What was that? Aiden Ross? Isn't he big on
massive.
Twitch?
Yeah, he
Like how big's that?
There's so many. Like he's
it's
probably
Aiden
up
Ross,
there.
was it?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
probably the biggest there. And then you got like the Paul brothers who sort of
Are they
have done
Twitchers?
it.
Are they?
Well, they've done Twitch
they've
and
done
they do a lot on YouTube and stuff as
Okay,
well.
yeah.
So
I
it's
know
like
they
it's all
did
the
YouTube.
same sort of
Okay.
same sort of world. It's like even for me, like I've been playing video games my whole life, and that sort of going to that was like, wow, like this is a whole new world. Like it's something that I didn't know anything about, and like sort of just learn on the fly, sort of build it up.
What does your missus say? Because I've
She
seen, you know what I mean? Like,
hates it.
imagine
Absolutely
like,
hates it.
like, think about it, Jake. Imagine you're in your room and you're playing, and she's going, "We've got to go for dinner,"
Yeah.
and you're playing like.
Do you know what that's
There's a
called?
method,
That's
though.
called starting a fight. That's
Yeah.
what that is. You
No,
are in
trust me, I'm gonna-
trouble. I don't even have a partner, and I know that
You know,
that
like-
smells like danger.
You know what? It's funny. I'm thinking these guys have got misses, like they've got wives, and they're playing these games.
They're going to be very understanding.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does a female? I mean, how many females are play a game?
Oh,
Nah,
they're not. They're rare breeds.
Very
Yeah,
rare.
yeah.
That'd be very rare.
There's a method though. You got to always make sure you do it. You're playing the game when she's not in the house.
Yeah.
That's the
You've got a
That's
plan.
the key.
always got to have a plan.
Smart
Gotta have
man.
a plan.
I like it.
Yeah. And what else do you do in your spare time? I mean, you see a lot of players playing golf.
Yeah, no,
What-
I just finished a diploma in finance
Oh,
broking,
awesome.
so
Yeah.
picking that up, starting to work under a company called Cambridge Finance in the city. So that's exciting. It's like what I said, starting to grow up.
That's
it's
cool.
Sort of trying
It's
to
good to
set up myself for post football in that sort of industry. Yeah, it's real. It's interesting again, like learning new stuff. It's I think I've just liked doing that. So.
Yeah.
Sort of diving headfirst into that, which is good. I think it's something that I'm going to be looking at doing very long term. So, yeah, having that under my belt is, I think, pretty exciting going forward.
Yeah.
I can start sort of setting up a base while I'm playing, and then
Yep. Go straight into it.
it once I've
That's
retired.
cool.
Yeah,
So, well, that's smart, mate, because the biggest thing, like
Transitions,
rugby, well,
man.
the rugby league profile, you know, like that opens up doors that
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
really open for other people, you know, and you
Yeah.
don't really see it till you're out of it.
Mm.
But you know, you could be a bit of a, you know, setting a bit of a tone for these
Yeah.
players that, you know, if you give yourself, say, you know, you got another 2 years on your lifespan playing rugby league. This is for anyone.
Yeah.
You can put 24 months in to get yourself straight into that after
Exactly,
after you
yeah.
play footy. You're not going into a commentating job.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're laughing because, you know, we always hear, Mets, don't we? Like, and even for myself going through it, I miss that routine. I miss that
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah.
I miss that routine.
that's a thing. It's a scary reality.
Yeah, well,
like,
but it's our job to create that routine too,
'cause
you know?
you get told what to do, where to be, what to wear.
Yeah.
It's like, and then as soon as I can imagine when you retire, it's just that's it.
You got to
Like,
create it.
Yeah, and I can only imagine how difficult that would be.
Have you always thought about moving into finance?
Not always. So I've actually did a degree when I was younger in exercise sports science, but that sort of interest sort of
Just died
faded
off.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as well, just I've got introduced to some smart people in that finance sort of world that must have said the right things and piqued an interest, and
That's good, mate.
sort of just dove head first in. Yeah.
There's no money in finance, though.
None at all.
There's,
Well-
yeah, I mean, you're going to struggle, but now, you know, we're getting towards the end here, but you know, I got to ask, like, you look at so many players going to English rugby league or going to France to finish their careers. Is that one of your aspirations? Is it something that you'd like to do and see another part of the world?
I think I would. Yeah.
I think it's a great thing.
I think so. When I remember when I was younger, before I'd ever played first grade, I sort of said if it never really kicked off, I'd like to go over there. But or if it did kick off, finish over there. So like whether that's possible next year or later, I'm open to pretty much heading over and seeing that sort of culture. It was cool. I spent some time over in England in the Europe holiday, and it's crazy. Like I've really enjoyed it over there. The sort of vibe and culture they have over there is pretty cool. Obviously, they've got like the Super League isn't such a massive sport over there, but I think they're on the right track. They've started the year well. The way that they've sort of been building it up, big for them in Vegas as well. But then, yeah, you got so much other stuff that you can sort of experience on that sort of part of the world. You're a 2-hour flight from anywhere. You can go and watch the EPL, which is the
That'd be
biggest
crazy.
sport in the world. Insane. Like, yeah, I think having that sort of life experience would be invaluable. Yeah, but again, like, no idea what I'm gonna be doing next year. So pretty much open to anything.
Yeah.
Have you got a European passport? Or
Nah, full Aussie. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I think it's like there's certain qualifying factors, and it's like you got to play a certain amount of games to qualify, which I believe I do. So
Perfect.
why not?
Never know what happens.
Yeah.
Man, that was great.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
That was great.
No
man.
worries. Thank you so much for having me.
It was
really enjoyed
It
it.
was good to finally meet Hosty after I heard so much about him when he was in his teenage
It's been
years.
2 decades in the making, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've sort of been in the
Okay, man,
background.
I
I
want to
haven't
see
really
this guy. It's my mate Richard telling me the right story here.
Yeah.
Okay, it seems like there's one player. How is this kid gonna make it through? But what I love is you even back then coming through Renown, you came from a great family, great support there, and you can tell from your temperament. You can tell, you're a student, looking after your health, looking at life after football. You're engaged. You're a forward thinker, and I think there's a lot of footy players and aspirational young kids coming through can look at someone like you, and you haven't had a checkered past. You haven't been in the news for the wrong reasons.
Try not to, yeah.
You know what I mean? Which happens, but and it's quite challenging coming through rugby league. You got all these men with a lot of testosterone. Everyone's throwing themselves at the players, and I just want to thank you for coming, for being a great role model. You've got a great manager as well in Chimes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after he watches this, he'll be on chiming in. And if you're not, just have a word to him and say, mate, aren't I good enough?
Yeah.
Didn't I have a checkered pass? It seems like he's only interviewing people with a checkered pass.
Yeah, apparently.
I'm going to have to ask him.
Clickbait. He's doing all clickbait.
He's clickbaity. But no, mate, I just want to thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming, and thanks, Jake, for getting Jacob on.
All hosting. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate the kind words.
Thanks.